All right, well, we're going to Maryland, and we'll talk with Chandler. Hi, Chandler. What do you got for us today?
Hi, how are you? A couple of things. The guy who was talking about politics in church,
Uh-huh.
um, and this is not obviously the only thing political, but these are the two things that I think of when I think of politics in church.
Hmm.
Do you agree that murder is a sin and that sexual perversion of any kind is a sin?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so pastors do talk about that, especially when it's around election time, and because you cannot be a Christian
Hmm.
and say that abortion is okay or
Well,
be
yeah,
gay
right,
or transgender. You cannot. I'm
right,
sorry.
right.
But the other thing, and I don't want people cherry picking the Bible because that's a sin. But also, you were just talking to that young lady about the divorce. God detests divorce.
Okay.
So again, I feel like it's cherry picking, and I just want you to explain it some more.
Sure, yeah. Well, first of all, it's not cherry picking. It's not cherry picking when someone's being thrown against the wall and punched in the face. I mean, then do we just say, God, I'm sorry, God hates divorce? When someone's in harm's way, well, do I have to fish through and find the exact verse about punching? Do I have to find the exact verse about when the lady goes through the drywall that now she's allowed to have a divorce? See, that is a legalistic approach to counsel on divorce. And what I am saying from Scripture is that in the Old Testament, and I already shared this, but I'll share it again, that under the law, in the Old Testament, under the law with 613 commands, God showed mercy for those who were in a situation that was abusive, where there was a lack of food, there was a lack of shelter, there was a lack of sexual intimacy and love, and that was under the law. And I'll explain it again, that under the New Testament, when Paul talks in 1 Corinthians 7 there, the word that is used is the word put away. And so what Paul is saying is not that no Christian anywhere can get a divorce, so just take the black eyes and deal with it. No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying don't put your wife away without a certificate of divorce. So I realize that some of this might strike you as different, and I'm glad. I'm glad because, Chandler, that's why we exist. If I were just on here giving the same opinions that you've always had, and if I were on here just teaching exactly the same perspectives that you've always heard, there would pretty much be no purpose for the program. But what I'm doing is I'm engaging with a situation and I'm offering a perspective based on Old Testament law and New Testament in 1 Corinthians 7 that maybe is worth considering. And if you disagree with it, then great. Just tell every woman everywhere that God hates divorce and deal with it. But that's not what I'm going to say, not on this program. No. When people are being abused and accused constantly, and when there's a situation where there's emotional abuse and mental abuse and even spiritual abuse or physical abuse, I'm going to give my best counsel in each situation. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But I also said, get some counsel, try to save the marriage. So I don't know what you don't like about that, but you can wrestle with that on your own. Now, as far as politics and church, it's amazing. We have one call and one answer about making sure the gospel is the focus rather than politics. And suddenly it is converted into, well, you must think abortion and murder are okay. That is insane. That is ridiculous. What I'm saying is we are in one nation in the world. And there are political systems in the Philippines. There are political systems in Asia where millions of believers live. There are political systems in Africa where millions of believers live. And you know what? We are free to vote. We're going to have our voice and cast our vote and talk about whatever we want. We got freedom of speech. But what we're saying is the church is largely missing the gospel many times. And if we take up our time on Sunday morning to talk about political issues, then people are going to miss the gospel. and continue to miss it. So I stand by everything I shared, and I'm glad it's different. I'm glad it causes you to wrestle, because if it didn't, I don't know what we're doing on this program. Thanks for joining us. Call us back anytime.